The days where I'm like, I don't want to go is the days where I probably should go. And sometimes I'm like, okay, I will go. Even though I really don't want to, I will go. And it's always like those days where I do like really good at practice. Or then there's days where I'm like, oh, I don't want to go. Then I don't end up going. I feel like the days where you just feel like you don't want to do something is when you actually should be doing that.
Excellence is about standing, and excellence is a requirement for your dream to come true.
I would have to say my first memory on the track would be when I was in elementary school. Because I feel like that's when track usually starts for everyone, when we like go outside, get all the ribbons. So that'd be one of my first memories, when I ran the 100 meters in the grass. Actually, it wasn't even on a track, it was on the grass, and I would beat all the kids. So that's a pretty memorable moment, because I would get all the ribbons from all the events. And at that moment I thought I was a multi-eventer, but then I realized I can't throw a shot put, but I still won. But I don't really have the strength to throw a shot put or run long distances. So yeah.
Yeah, and so when you say you dumb it down to 100 meters, 200 meters, what is called a sprint in a sense?
Yeah, so after kind of doing every event, from throws to jumps to honestly anything, I was like, you know what? When I got to high school, they were like, you need to stick to 3 events. And I was like, I guess so. So I kind of broke it down to 100, 200, and long jump originally. Oh, yeah? And then when I did track with like the Ottawa Lions and Team Canada, they're like, you can't do long jumps, so you got to find another one. So I was like, okay, the 400, I guess. So they threw me in that, and I hated it. I hated every single moment, but now that's part of my event. So.
Right. So what is so different between 100, 200, 400 for those who don't know the technicalities? And I'm going to pretend other people and myself, I'm not too familiar with the actual 400. I can imagine it seems more of an endurance, even though it's still a sprint. 100, 200, when you look at it, and if I have to run it, I'll be bad at both, and I wouldn't really feel the difference. It's really what it is that make you better at one than the other, more than the other.
I feel like a 100, because it's so like, it happens so fast. Like you can blink and the race is basically done. Like I feel like in a 100, it's a lot more explosive, and like you can't really make much mistake in a 100. Yeah. Unlike in a 2, you can make a slight mistake and still catch up, because there's a lot more time to catch up. But yeah, in the 1, you can't really do that. In a 4, I just hate the 4. The 4, I definitely would have to say it's the most painful event in track, because it should be considered a long distance event, in my opinion, but it's not. And you just get lactic, and you start to rethink your whole track career. And it's just so much goes on in a 4 that honestly, I don't even know what like the technique is, because at the point when I get to the 300-meter mark, I've had enough, and I'm like, I don't want to do this anymore. So.
And that's very often where the difference is seen on the 400. It's on the last stretch where you see like some people coming back from the back, let's say, or whatever.
Yeah, the back stretch. Like it also depends too, because like in a 100 and a 200, there's something called like the wind. So if the wind's above 2, your times won't count. But in a 400, there's not really any wind to count, because you're running into the wind, but you're also running against the wind depending on where it is. So I feel like whenever you're in the last like the last 100 meters and the wind's hitting you in the face, that's when you're like, I've had enough of this race. Because you're already like seeing stars, and you already have lactic. So it's the worst.
Is that a thing? Do you actually see stars, or are you actually going so hard and so far?
I've seen videos, and people are like, they make reactions of what they see at the end of a 4, and it's just blurry. For me, I don't even know. I think I just pass out. And I just can't. Like there was a time I actually walked the finish line in a 400 because it was that bad. I was like, everything's blurry at this point. I feel like I'm gonna faint, and I'm just done. And my coach was like, "Why'd you walk? You were almost there." And I'm like, "I just couldn't." I actually couldn't. Like my legs at that point, I was already walking. So.
And are you gonna keep doing it? So you're super young. You're 21, I think.
21, yeah.
21. So and you exploded recently in terms of performance and all that. So do you are you still kind of fine tuning what will be your specialties moving forward?
Sadly now, they left me permanently in the 4. Okay. So I haven't actually ran a 4 in the last 2 years, actually. Okay. So, but now I did tell people that I would be doing the 4 for 2028 in LA. So now I have to. Okay. And yeah.
So been telling the people who are people like coaches and the staff.
Yeah, I've told my coaches and friends that I will now focus on the 2028 LA for the 4, and they were like, "Yeah, Bianca, because you were meant to run the 4. You're tall for the 4. You're gonna be good for it." And I'm like, maybe physically, yes. Mentally, No, but I'll still do it. Because maybe I might like it one day if I do enough training for it.
But you're gonna stick also with the 100 and 200, right?
Of course.
Okay.
Those are my two favorite events.
Nice. So where so first question was what's your first memory, but what's your when did like track and field become more than, let's say, a hobby in a sense? Was there like a specific event, a specific day, a specific thing that you remember, and what kind of sparked the actual move to probably running for fun to actually making it a career?
So I guess I would say it was more for fun in high school because it was a way of missing school and not actually going. So I was like, I'm going to join the track team. And also it was a flex being the fastest girl in your school. So I was like, I'm the fastest, so I have to represent. So I kind of saw that as for fun. And then when they told me that I should do it competitively, I was really hesitant. I didn't want to do it. I was like, no, thank you. I just want to go compete and get my ribbons, and that's it. I don't want to train or do any of that. And it's not until my first year of university, one of my friends, she told me that, she was talking to me, she's like, don't you do track? And I was like, sometimes here and there. She's like, shouldn't you go to trainings? And I told her I did not want to go to trainings. And one day she tricked me into going to trainings. She's like, Bianca, we're going on an adventure. And I was like, okay, I'm excited. Where are we going? And next thing you know, I was at the track. And she's like, here you go. I'll come get you later.
Very nice.
And I was like, oh. Okay, so I'm here now. Now I have to go. So then I did go that day, and I actually made a friend, because another thing why I didn't want to go to track was also making friends. Yeah. So I made a really good friend there, and I was like, you know what? Now I'm actually motivated to go, because now I have a really good training partner, and she seems really nice, and she also seems like she doesn't want to be here, but she's here too. So then I feel like us both being there, we kind of like made it really fun. Yeah. So yeah, I think that's when I started liking track more, actually the fact of like training. Because I did like competing, but I just did not like training. So training-wise, I liked it more because I was able to make a friend. And until this day, we're still friends. So
nice. Very cool. So tricking you into going to training wasn't like a friend deal breaker?
No, it wasn't. No, I still love her to this day. I love her to death for it because she actually, I feel like if she didn't trick me, I would not have gone to Worlds or like Paris at all. Yeah. So I feel like her actually tricking me is what kind of convinced me to go to track more, because I was like, you know what? That day I made a friend, so now I can't feel like I have to go to in a way, because she went out of her way to trick me and like planned this whole thing. So
nice.
Yeah.
And so from that first kind of being tricked into the training to actually making it, like you mentioned, to the World Championships and the Olympics, the travel, I wouldn't say that it was obviously not an easy track, but it seems to have been pretty fast. So you went to the Worlds probably when you were 20-ish.
Yes.
So it's been a few years, quote unquote, only to get there versus some other people that start like at 5 and 6 and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So how did you get there? You probably had natural competencies to run fast naturally, but there's necessarily a point where it becomes more about like hard work and just mental and all that versus just pure natural capacities. Yeah. How did that evolve over the course of those few years?
Okay, yeah. So when I was in track, I did not take it very seriously. And I would only say I took track seriously, like, last year, actually. If I'm going to be honest, I took it seriously last year. I still went to trainings, but I never was consistent.
Wow.
And I would go once a week, maybe once a month. And it's not until after Worlds where I started taking it a lot more seriously. And
so you made it to the Worlds without even taking it seriously before.
I was serious to an extent, okay. But it's not. I wasn't doing everything what every other athlete would be doing, like weights. I did not do weights until September of last year.
Okay.
I did not train 5 times a week until September of last year. So I did not do any of that. I only started doing that after Worlds. But I kind of still had the back training from like when I did used to train somewhat consistently. So that kind of like led me on at Worlds. And it's not until like September, like I said, September is when I started being more serious, where I did weights. Still was not consistent with the training, but I did the weights. So I was kind of like not 100% as an athlete, but like 65%. There was still a lot of things that were missing. So yeah, I would say that.
So if you were still able to make it to the World, it's probably that you kind of used all of your natural capabilities to run fast. And then maybe when you came back from there, like, oh, if I want to not just be good or world level, I have to be like top world level and number one and the best. Is that what kind of switched in your mind, that you saw that you could actually do it with probably the extra work and the extra determination, the extra discipline, and all of those funny stuff that comes with, being the best.
Yeah, I think that's kind of what got me, because I got a bronze and a silver at Worlds, and I was like, wow, if I actually did train the right way and put a lot more effort, I could do a lot better.
Yeah.
And I also did say once I wanted to make the Olympic team and not just the Paralympic team. So I'm like, if I can do this and make the Paralympic team, but still not still get a medal, imagine if I did put a lot more work into what I did.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what sparked a little interest in me, wanting to train more, wanting to do a lot more. Yeah. Still needs work. I still need a bit more self-discipline, I personally think, because I'm not very disciplined here and there. But I feel like if I discipline myself even a lot more, I can be a lot better, and maybe would have prevented myself from getting injured this year.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, so that's one of the things that I want to get to in the discussion. But just to bounce on that word that you use, discipline, and I'm a bit of a freak in terms of discipline, in terms of, you have to repeat stuff over and over again, and especially when it's hard, because that's what will bring you where you want to go. What have you seen changing in your habits and behavior since last year? You said going to the gym or doing weights, going 5 times a week, never skipping a training. What are the stuff that you achieved so far? And what are the stuff you said, I'm still lacking some self-discipline? What are the stuff that you need to improve, whether, it could be sleep, what you eat, all of those stuff. So, yeah. What have you done and what is still to be done?
Okay, I'll start with what needs to be done. Definitely eating habits, because I've been on Uber Eats a little too much, and I should stop doing that.
Yeah, I've heard it so many times, especially people in the track and field world. It's like, oh yeah, so Uber Eats, DoorDash, whatever. It's so easy, so quick.
It's easy, simple, especially after a training. I'm on my way back home. Instead of just I'm tired, I'm exhausted. Yeah. I could make food the day before and just heat it up and then have it after track. But I'm just I want to go home and just have it already warm and in front of the door. So I'm just Uber Eats, simple, it's there, and I'm like, yes, delicious. Not the healthiest option, but it's really good. So that's something I have changed now, because now I'm not running at this very moment. So I'm on my recovery mode. So now I'm actually pre-planning my meals and actually cooking for once, which is rare. So I feel like that's a bit of a change, but hopefully it stays this way. And then when I start training again, I don't revert back to my old ways. Another thing I would say that kind of has stayed now is I feel like having a fixed schedule, actually going to training 5 times and doing weights. I've used that out of track too, because now I like organization. I like making a plan throughout the day. Okay, I'm gonna wake up, go to school, go to the gym right after school, go home, go to track. I like having a fixed plan. So I feel like that's helped a lot now since I'm actually training. Whenever I go to trainings now, it's more organized. I feel more put together, if that makes sense. Yeah. So I really like the fact that also doing track just makes me feel like I'm doing something. I'm not just sitting around looking at a textbook for 10 years. So I like that aspect. Another thing that I still obviously need to work on is mental discipline. Yeah. Because it's oh, okay, Bianca, you got to go to training, but I don't want to. So it's having self-motivation to wanting to do something. I feel like that still needs a lot of work.
And that's also and especially in the discipline part of just repeating, especially when you don't want to, it's when you have to get into some sort of a routine so that you just get there on the track without even thinking about it. But at the same time, if you get too much into a routine, that's not where you kind of overperform and try to improve all the time, right? The routine by default can be seen as negative when it has a big positive, which is don't think about I don't want to go, it's cold outside and blah, blah, blah. Exactly. Just go there. But once you're there, you need to have a mind switch that is, I'm here for 2-3 hours, however long you train, and I need to be 100% in that. And that kind of balance between the routine and just trying to be great, right?
And I feel like that's what the most important part is. The days where I'm I don't want to go is the days where I probably should go. And sometimes I'm okay, I will go. Even though I really don't want to, I will go. And it's always those days where I do really good at practice, or it's a really good practice session. Yeah. Or then there's days where I'm oh, I don't want to go. Then I don't end up going. And I'm just sitting on the couch eating a pack of brownies and watching TV. So I feel the days where you just feel you don't want to do something is when you actually should be doing them. So
yeah. Do you have a coach? I guess you do. But yeah, where do you train exactly? And those days when it's pretty dark and you don't want to go, do you have other people or people that you can count on that will kind of get the motivation coming back?
I feel one specific person that I know who's always been Bianca, I believe that you could be one of the best athletes is Glenroy. specifically because he's always like, Bianca, you could be really good. You just need to be more disciplined. He's like, you have the right body structure to run to run super fast, but the brain, it needs a little bit of work. And I was like, you know what? I agree with that because I know I can do it, but it's like my brain's like, you just need to relax, Bianca. You should do this. And I'm like, no, I probably shouldn't. So I feel like he is definitely a really good person I like to talk to about like, what do you think I should do? Because I make really terrible decisions here and there. So I'm like, do you think I should be doing this or that? He's like, don't do that, but you should do this. Like, he's a very good like person to like talk to when it comes to like guiding me in the right path, because I seem to like stray away sometimes. So I feel like he usually brings me back to like, you need to do this. What are you doing? Stop straying away. Like,
Yeah. And do you feel that's what remains to be done? You said stuff needs to be improved. Do you think you've maxed out your, let's say, body capabilities, like you said, and all about what is about to come is about your mental and the discipline and just how you think of yourself and what you can achieve and stuff like that?
Yeah, I feel like physically everything is there. I just also need to fix the right techniques though. Yeah. But mentally, I feel like that's the most improving that I need to do now. Like, I'm still learning. I'm young, pretty young, but I'm also still learning about like growing up too and like maturing. So I feel like learning these things as I kind of go along is also like, I feel like it would have been helpful if I learned them a lot earlier, but like, I feel like it's, you could always like learn something new each time or every time you grow up. So it's like, I'm not complaining that I didn't know them earlier, but it's also like, I would have liked to know them earlier because maybe I would have been a better athlete now. Yeah. But I'm not going to let that stop me from being a better athlete later, so. Yeah.
And so last year you got, I think, hamstring injury? Hamstring?
Hamstring.
Sorry. Before the Olympics, that kind of dragged along for a while. Is that okay to talk about it?
Yeah. You're good.
So you mentioned it might, your lack of self-discipline or not being top at this is, you said, maybe what caused it, or at least made it last for so long. Looking back, as you said, you might have want to have known it before, but having been through that, it also probably taught you a lot of stuff. You probably learned so much on what not to do, in a sense.
Oh yeah, of course.
So yeah, what have you learned from that experience, and also then going to the Paralympics in Paris, where you can explain what happened, but I think you got injured, or kind of that injury coming back in the finals. There's a lot of bad stuff in this. Yeah. But looking back, it's probably what will make you reach the next step, because you kind of hit rock bottom maybe at this point, and if you had the strength to keep going, it's probably what will help you reach the next steps that maybe wouldn't have happened if everything had gone as planned, probably.
Yeah, honestly, when I first pulled my hamstring, it was back in July, and even before I pulled it, I had a feeling that I was not supposed to run that race because I was in pain in my warm-up. But then again, even throughout the year, I've been in pain, but we weren't sure what it was because it was always glute pain or lower back, like nerve pain. So when I did pull it the first time, I was like, oh, this is not good. This is like 6 weeks before I'm supposed to run at Paris, so this is terrible. But it was only a first degree, like, first degree strain, I guess. Yeah. And they're like, you know what, we'll fix you up. So they tried to fix me up as best as possible. I was able to run the semis, which was nice. But then even before the final, before I went on stage to like run, I felt a pain and I was like, okay, this is not gonna be good. Like, I already had a feeling that it wasn't gonna be good because I was like, okay, I'm a little hesitant now, but I don't want to like jog it, but I came all this way, so I have to run. If I pull it, I pull it. Oh well. So then I ran, I pulled it. It was really painful, but then I got up and I'm like, came all this way, gotta finish the race. So finished it, and I look back at it now and I'm like, I should have listened to my body before the first time I pulled it, because if I knew that I wasn't ready to run that race, I wouldn't have ran it, and maybe would have just gotten treatment and wouldn't have pulled my hammy the first time or the second time. So I feel like if I listened to my body that day instead and wasn't like going to like obviously like please other people in that way, if that makes sense. So I should have just listened to myself and knew that, okay, you know what, I can't run it. And if anyone gets upset with me, that's their fault. But I'm trying to protect myself here. Yeah. So I feel like that's also a lesson that I learned, that you should always listen to your body, even though someone might tell you, oh no, you're fine. Just know, you know yourself better than anyone else. So that's a big lesson that I learned, to just always listen to myself, even though I may think, someone may say, oh no, Bianca, you're not feeling that. Like, no, you don't know what I'm feeling. So yeah, that's one of the biggest lessons now. And honestly, I look back at it when I pulled it, and it's kind of really funny. So I kind of find joy in it because I'm like, you know what? The comeback story is going to be a lot more interesting. And yeah, so I just like it's going to be a lot more interesting, and I'm going to come back stronger and faster. And yeah, I missed the chance of getting a medal, but that means more medals to come later.
Yeah, and you're still young. It's not as if it happened at like 30 years old where reach more of the second half of a career. Now it's just, and like you said, it's again, quote unquote, just 1 year after starting to take it seriously. So you have like 4 years ahead of you. You're still super young, so probably most likely all the great results are going to happen.
Exactly. Like I'm still basically a baby in the sport, if you would want to call it. So, and I've only been taking it seriously for like a year or 2 years, mostly a year basically, but so now I'm like, okay, you know what? Watch when I'm really serious. Oh, everyone's going to be scared. I'll just say that now.
And so you came back from Paris. It's still pretty recent. It's a month and ish, a few days ago, probably.
Yeah.
There is, and I think I read one thing that you said recently. There is that usually for Olympic and Paralympics athletes that post games blues or post game kind of, bottom part of the roller coaster, because you've worked so hard for you, like a big year, let's say, to get to that moment. And then whether or not the result is good, you end up, it's like, oh, there's another 4 year coming. It's more like, oh, I have to do more homework and more 4 years. So have you been through a rough patch? You said that right now you're kind of off the sport for a few days, weeks, month, I don't know, to recover. So what has been the process to go through that, both physically and mentally?
Well, obviously after the Paris incident, everyone called it the Olympic depression. So definitely experienced that, because there was a point after Paris, I'm like, this sport is too much for me. It's too many like setbacks. I want to quit. I definitely wanted to quit.
Quit by like retiring?
Yeah,
or
quit by retiring.
Okay.
I told my coaches, I'm like, I'm going to retire now. So it's done. They're like, what?
And
I'm
then
like,
that's when he's like, so that's not what you should do. And what you should do is this, right?
Yeah. So I was like, I'm going to retire. And they're like, okay, we're going to give you your space for a moment, because a lot of emotions are going on here. And I was like, nope, I'm retiring. I'm set on retiring. I'm not coming back. Y'all can leave me alone. I will not be doing this sport ever again.
How long did that last?
2 days.
Okay, that's fine. It's not like it could be 2 weeks, 2 years, but 2 days. Okay.
2 days, because I told them that I pulled my hammy on the 3rd. I told them that on the 4th, and actually no, I didn't tell them that yet. Because I was supposed to run the relay.
Okay.
And they were like, we don't know if you could run the relay because it seems like you pulled your hammy pretty hard. I'm like, no, put me in. I'll still run it. I will still run it. I was willing to run the relay on a 3rd-degree hamstring tear. And they're like, no, we don't think that's a good idea. And I'm like, well, someone has to run it, so I'm going to do it. And then they got the results like, yeah, you're not running it. And I'm like, why not? They're like, because you're injured. And I'm like, so? Like, I'm still willing to run it. It won't be like 11 seconds, but it'll be something. At least we'll have a relay. They're like, no, we'll pull the relay out. I think that's what made me like, okay, now I'm quitting then. Fine. I had like a little dramatic moment where I'm like, I'm not doing this sport anymore. And it lasted until the 7th of September when I was like, you know what? I guess I'll come back. And they're like, yeah, we knew you were going to come back. And I'm like, yeah, I guess so. I can't just quit now. They're like, So I'm like, yeah, I'll stay in it. I was still pretty sad that I didn't get to run and I didn't get any medals. And it was hard seeing my teammates get medals because I'm like, that could have been me. But I was also really happy for them, but also pretty sad that I didn't get one. And yeah, still hits hard a bit, but I'm like, you know what, I'll wait. My time will come. So
yeah. And so where are you now in that recovery process, both, again, physically and mentally, because you have to recover from the injury, plus you have to find that excitement and that willingness to wake up 5 times a week and go training. Where are you in that process right now?
So I've actually started some treatment, like not even treatment, but like training wise. Like I've done like a warm-up workout type stuff, because they're not making me full on run now because I'm still trying to strengthen my hamstring. So I've done like light workouts and like light warm-ups when I was in Toronto last week, and I died because I realized not training for a month does a lot. So even in a warm-up I was really tired for some reason. And yeah, so now I realize I can jog, which is nice. Certain movements I still can't do because my hamstring's not that strong yet. But, I'm happy that I'm able to do some stuff. And I feel like I'm ready to be in the habit of consistently training. They're like, no, we'll start with 3 days a week of training for you for now, because we don't want to overexert your hamstring, but we also don't want to make sure that it's just like laying around and getting lazy. So yeah, right now I'm doing 3 trainings a week, and it's just basic movement. So yeah.
Nice. So why Toronto? Because of the track and field training center there?
Yeah, so I went there to get testing so then they can clear me to start training.
Okay.
So I got cleared last week to do light training only 3 times a week. So yeah.
Well, it's good for you because you don't like the 5 times a week, so it's a good.
Yeah, I don't like it, so I'm like, I can do 3. I'll do 3. Like yeah, Monday, Thursday, and Saturday, and I'm like, if Saturday's in the morning, no, but I'll do Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So that seems like a good enough time for me.
Nice.
Give me the weekends off.
Nice. And usually, do you train here in Ottawa?
Yes.
When you're back to like 5 days, where exactly?
I train at Terry Fox.
Terry Fox. Okay.
Yeah.
And so, what is Bianca doing outside of running? So I've read that you study neuroscience.
Yeah.
Here is that the right
Ottawa.
things? Nice. So what exactly is that you do?
So I don't even know where to start with this one. So obviously I'm in my fourth, one of the years, but one of them.
Year.
But yeah, so I have a full course load, 5 courses each semester. So that's a lot too. 5 seems to be my lucky number for some reason. So my courses kind of consist of just like a lot of bio courses. I did all my chemistry ones, all my organic. We're done. We're never doing chemistry ever again. And
Chemistry's fun.
I don't like chemistry. Okay. I despise chemistry with a passion. Even in high school, I just never liked it. I don't know why. I just never understood it or its purpose. And my friend would come at me. She's like, "What do you mean? Chemistry is the best subject of all." And I'm like, "No, it's not. It's the worst. I'd rather math over chemistry any day."
Sorry. I did a bit of science too, so like, okay. That's you.
Yeah, so besides track, I am obviously a full-time student, so that's fun. And if you take full-time student out of the way, then you will catch me at a gymnastics facility flipping around. So
Wow. So okay. So a full-time student is almost like a full-time job because of the class plus the homework and all that.
yeah.
Full-time training in a sense, or you'll get back shortly enough to full-time training plus you said gymnastics. How do you go about like your days? How do you you said self-discipline on the sports side, but it's a lot of organization, I would assume, doing all that. How do you prioritize? Because neuroscience or all the stuff you do is not like easy studies either, and
No.
the physical of training on the track. So yeah, how do you go about this? You're just 21. It's young to have all that organized and prioritize the right thing at the right time. So yeah, how do you do that?
So one thing that actually helped was because I used to also live super far from Ottawa. I used to like live an hour away. So I moved to Ottawa, more downtown, to kind of also have that independence from my parents, because love my parents, but I need my space. So that was kind of one thing that also helped, was that living on my own. So I'm like, okay, now I actually have to be responsible. I can't really rely on people to like wake me up in the morning or do this for me in the morning. So I kind of have to do everything myself. So I actually have this like board in my room where I write down my plan for the week, and I write it down every Sunday. So it's like, okay, I'm gonna wake up at this time because my class is at this time. And I usually like to put my classes in the mornings, because if they're in the mornings, I have my afternoons and evenings off. So then after classes, I'm like, okay, you know what? Monday, it's a gym day. So I'll go to the gym, then I'll go to training, come back home. Tuesday, I don't have a gym, so I can go do something in between school and practice. So I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna go have, I don't know, tea with my friends real quick. Wednesday, gym day. Thursday, no gym day. Friday, no gym day. I'm at the gymnastics facility flipping around because I used to love gymnastics, and I used to be a gymnast. Not anymore because I grew, but just I like the fact of like doing something different, because track is just something that's so repetitive. I feel like having a change, like it's relaxing, and it keeps me sane. So like either some people, they would like, oh, I'm gonna go swimming. I'm like, okay, I don't really like the pool like that, so I'm gonna go flip around. And my coach is like, Bianca, you can't be flipping around. You're gonna get injured. I'm like, no, we're good. Don't worry, I'm fine. So I feel like that. I just need to I always have to have like one activity throughout the week that's different from everything else to kind of keep myself well balanced.
Nice. No, that's amazing. And seeing that you say, oh, I have an off time, so I'm going to go. And when you said full-time student plus gymnastics plus, of course, track, I'm like, you don't even have time to like sleep and eat, but you said, oh, I have free time here and there, and
Yeah.
go and see friends. It's amazing that you have that discipline of managing your days, and it's pretty amazing, especially so young. What time is usually training at? You said mostly afternoon?
Yeah, so trainings would usually start from 5:30 and it would usually go from 5:30 to like 7:30. So that's a whole 2 hours. But I know last year because I finished my days really early from school, I would go to trainings a lot earlier. So I would even go to trainings around 2 o'clock.
Okay.
And I would be done around 4. So then I would have the rest of the afternoon to either study or do something else. And I usually study at night. I'm like a nocturnal studier. So I study the best when it's nighttime for some reason. And yeah, I'm pretty fast with it too. I have a whole system and everything.
Nice.
So
Very cool. So right now, let's say professionally speaking, and that means studies, that means everything, that means track. What is your number one priority?
ooh. Honestly, I think I have 2 number one priorities. Number one, actually, half of number one is to make it to med school.
Mm-hmm.
And the other half is to make it to the Olympics in 2028. So I think
Sweet.
those are my 2 major priorities right now. Well, obviously, because I'm off in a way, I'm like half on half training. Then it's to get my grades up for med school.
Mm-hmm.
But then once I get back on the training, it's to do both at the same time. So
That's crazy. So do you realize that some people focusing only on getting to med school will not get there, and some people focusing only on getting to the Olympics will not get there, and your objective is to basically do both, right? So
yeah,
that's pretty amazing.
I like to multitask.
Yes,
I'm, I'm a big multitasker. Even when I'm cooking, I like to do 2 things at once. I feel like I can't just focus on one thing.
Are you texting while we're talking right now, or are you doing something else?
Secretly texting. Yeah.
Okay, that's it.
But I feel like I have to be doing 2 things at the same time to like have a little switch. So like if I'm just doing track, I'm like, okay, I need to do something else besides just track. I'm gonna get bored. So I'm like, okay, I'm doing school at the same time. There, at least I have diverse, I can switch. Like in between my studies, I'm gonna just do push-ups on the side or something. Like I need to do something.
Yeah, it's great, and I resonate very much with that. I feel like if I spend 40 hours a week doing one thing, I will be much more efficient doing 20 hours a week of that one thing, and doing the podcast for fun. Plus, I have another project cooking. I feel like every hour spent is much more efficient if there are multiple projects, because it keeps you excited and kind of bouncing between projects versus just being stuck into one thing where your 40 hours becomes 50 hours, becomes 60 hours, and you don't get more done just because you're not time constrained. The more time you give to a task, the more time you will take to do that task, versus if you have to be, for you, like, oh, I'm at school from 9 to 12 and I have to go to training anyway, so you'll do whatever it takes to squeeze everything within 3 hours, versus if you said, oh, I have my whole day for that class, then, well, you would spend the day doing it.
Then I'm just gonna like spend the whole day sitting reading books and that's it. Like I feel like I'd be miserable in that way. So I'm like, I have to have something else to do, and this is why track is such a good thing. And not only do I like doing track, it's like, okay, I have 2 things now, but I'm gonna go flip around and like build my flexibility. So I just go to the gymnastics gym real quick and I do some flips here and there. And it's like, you know what, I want to cook a full course meal today. So just like I like doing something that's a lot different, and it just makes me feel like, I don't know, like they say that working out, like it helps with like mental health. So I'm like, if school is something that's so stressful and you're always stressed in school, then they say running helps with your mental health. So there you go. I'm killing 2 birds with 1 stone. So.
So when your career ends, so it could be at 22 if you want to quit again, or it could be at 32, we hope, and you have lots of medals in between. You said going to med school is an objective. What will be next once you decide that your career is over and that it's more like professional work after that? Or like corporate or whatever.
Well, obviously on the med school side, hopefully I'm a full-time ophthalmologist by then. So fingers crossed. But I feel like on the track side, I guess once that's over, I thought about it and I was like, maybe like I kind of want to still kind of be involved in the track life in a way. So I want to become a physiotherapist for sports and as like a side hustle while being an ophthalmologist. So
that's funny because you're doing one thing like excellent, then you're trying to go to med school like, oh, I'm gonna find like another side hustle just to make sure I'm busy all the time.
Yeah, like I don't want to just not be busy. So it's like yeah, you're going to become a doctor, but it's like, but I still kind of want to be involved in the track world afterwards. So I could become a physiotherapist for like track athletes or a massage therapist.
Yeah.
It's like, take a little 2-year course at massage therapy school wouldn't hurt, right? Or even like become a coach too. So one or the other. I haven't decided yet, but definitely want to still kind of be involved in the track world after sport. Maybe even open like a track business. I don't know. We'll see.
Nice. Do you find time to do nothing sometimes? Does it happen? Or are you like hyperactive and you have to do something? Or your brain at least is still always doing something?
I feel like there's times where when I'm not doing anything, so I kind of just like sit there and like watch TV. And then I'm like, okay, now I'm bored.
Yeah, how long? Because let's compare, because usually for me it's less than an episode. So it's usually like 30 minutes. After 30 minutes, like, okay, I'm out. And I see myself on the phone checking my emails or just doing some research.
Like, I feel like, I don't know, like, I guess like lately, I guess I'll use it like yesterday as an example. I was free for the whole day. And I was like, what am I going to do? Like, I have nothing to do on Sunday. I should be like at this gymnastic, like I should be flipping around today. Like, what do I do? Like, I have no school. I'm done all my schoolwork. I don't know what to do. And I was like panicking. And I was like, okay, you know what? Let me just watch some TV. I got bored. Went outside for a jog. I'm like, I can't do this. This is driving me nuts. So I feel like I always have to do something. I do have downtime because I know I could make downtime. I just choose not to have downtime.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's great. It's crazy. Again, I resonate very much with that. Especially the Sundays tend to be the quietest day when
Very quiet day.
I'm more in like the corporate world. So on Saturday, my brain is always kind of turning and flipping and doing stuff. But then Sunday, I kind of find my quiet place, and then it's 1 p.m. and I'm like, all right, so let's plan the week ahead because it's coming. It's coming.
Like,
let's get something done.
It's 1 p.m. but I still got to plan for ahead. And then I'm like, let me just start sending emails just because I can send emails. Like, let me just do it.
Okay, so we're the same in a sense.
Yeah, I feel like we're pretty similar in a way. Like, we're always wanting to keep busy. So
yeah, it's good, but it's always I try. And it's funny because other people or most people probably don't have to do that, but I try to fight, and I ask that question because I try to fight to be comfortable doing nothing sometimes.
Yeah,
because I'm sure that's when your body recovers more than anything else. So yeah.
No, I feel like I'm the opposite. Like, everyone's like, oh, I love relaxing, and I'm like, no, I like doing something. Like, even if it's like something different, I just like doing something. I feel like sitting around, because my mom even tried to put me in piano. I was in piano for like 3 to 4 years, and my piano teacher's like, you're always very movie. Like, you always want to like move around. And I'm like, I'm sorry, I just can't. Like, I'd play the song really fast because I have a really good memory. So I'd play it really fast. She's like, oh, you already learned it. And I'm like, already learned the whole book. I'm done. She's like, oh, okay. I don't know what else to teach you. I'm like, yep, nothing you can teach me now. Gotta go. And I'm like, on to the next one. So mom was like, okay, yeah, you seem to be doing a little too good in your piano classes. Like, you want to play a new instrument? I'm like, no, I need to move around. So
nice. If you met the 10-year-old yourself right now, and it was you at 10 in front of you right now instead of me, what would you tell 10-year-old Bianca?
Ooh. I don't even know what I was doing at 10. So I would tell little Bianca to start being serious.
At 10, wow.
At 10, why not?
Okay.
Because older Bianca's still not serious. So I feel like if Bianca at a younger age knew that she had to be serious for the future, then maybe I would have been a lot more serious now. Yeah. But I know at 10 I was still like doing dance and gymnastics. So I'd be like, Bianca, you should try running now. And she'd be like, oh, why? And I'm like, I think you'll be good at it. And then maybe just trust me, you'll be good at it. So I feel like, Bianca would obviously listen to I'd listen to myself, because why wouldn't I? And I feel like maybe, I don't know, maybe I would have been a lot faster than that if I ran a lot younger or was a lot serious too. Because I'm a very goofy and silly person. So I'm like, Bianca, start being serious when you have to be serious. Yeah. So, and I feel like that's now.
Nice. Are you active like on social media? That's probably where I kind of found a way to contact you originally. But yeah, do you take like social media and your personal brand, let's say, seriously as you start being more like visible and stuff? And if so, where are you the most active?
I'm learning how to be more active because there's times where I'm posting once a month, and I'm like, no, Bianca, you got to start posting more. Like, someone who I know posts a lot is actually Aaron Brown. And I'm like, I want to be like that. I want to be able to post all the time, but it's like, I have to get the content to post all the time. And I'm like, see, I'm always so busy that I can't find time to even record content. So I'm like trying to find a happy medium with all of it. So I do definitely want to be more active on social media. post coming soon, obviously at some point, but I want to be more active, and I think I'm more active on Instagram. But I feel like I should also be more active on TikTok because I also have a higher following on TikTok.
Because you're younger also. You're 21, so you're on TikTok.
Yeah, of course I'm on TikTok. Like, my friends like, you should get Twitter. And I'm like, I don't have time to tweet my minds, guys. No one wants to hear my opinions. Who knows what I have to say? So I feel like I should be a lot more active on social media, more than I am now. So hopefully one day, maybe like in a year or 6 months, I could like post 3 times a week.
Yeah, but I think it takes like brain juice and, like you said, like creating content.
Yeah.
As you live your life, it seems normal. So you have to find out what is exciting, what could be exciting, even if for me it's daily stuff.
Exactly. And it's always like, oh yeah, like sometimes I go to an event, I'm like, oh, I should have recorded it, or like should have taken a picture. And I'm like, I just forget to like, because I'm always like I'm just used to not being in front of a camera. So I just like go about my day doing my stuff. So it's like, now I gotta feel like I need to record it in a way to kind of like, you know what, let me bring you guys along. But it's also hard to record it if I'm like doing school at the same time, and also like, okay, gotta go to track, and I'm like, oh, I should probably record myself going to track, or maybe not, I don't know. So it's like, you always like gotta figure out what do you have to post. So
not an easy one. I don't have the answer either because I'm pretty bad at that. So
it's okay, we'll learn together. So
We'll learn. I'll give you any tip that I can find.
Oh, please, I need that.
And Aaron was the second person I interviewed on the podcast a long time ago now.
Oh, wow.
A bit more than a year and a half ago. And yeah, since then he's been like ramping up his game on like social media. He's been doing amazing stuff, and I follow him a lot. And he's he's been doing great. So good source of inspiration.
I'm trying to be like that. I'm trying to post all the time, but I'm like, give me some advice, please.
Yeah, like,
I'm struggling.
Could I post about my Uber Eats?
Yeah, if I could do that, I'll have a post every single day. If Uber Eats paid me 3 times a day, I will Uber Eats breakfast, lunch, and dinner. If they're like, you know what, Bianca, we'll sponsor you. I'm like, yep, that works for me.
Let's do that.
I will post my meal. Hey guys, here's my Uber Eats breakfast, my Uber Eats lunch, my Uber Eats. I just Uber Eats groceries. Like I've actually done that, so I can't say anything.
Oh yeah, okay, perfect. You have it all.
I don't have to go find everything myself.
Yeah, no, it's true. It's true that it's easy.
Oh, makes my life easy.
Who would be the one athlete that you would like to hear here on the podcast?
Ooh, I will definitely shout out one of my favorite para athletes right now. She's also one of my close friends. Is Ashlyn Renenberg.
You'll spell it for me. No, later maybe.
Yeah. I can spell her first name, but not her last name.
Okay.
But she is actually an athlete that I met this year. I actually met her in Paris, and same category as mine actually. And I feel like she's very interesting. Like speaking to her, I was like, wow, like we're both the same category, but just 2 different stories and 2 different lives. Because it's like when it comes to like disability, like I was born with my disability, and it's like, but she kind of like obtained hers. So it's like, wow, like we both see the world like in 2 different viewpoints, and like we also both live 2 different lives too. So it's like, she seems like a really great person to interview, in my opinion. Nice,
perfect. So when I can spell it, I'll try and reach out, or you can tell her about the podcast.
Oh, I will for sure.
And final question, which I always ask. I built some sort of what I call a wall of fame at my office in Montreal, which is slightly bigger than where we are right now in Ottawa.
Yeah.
Where I try to get a gear from the different athletes that I interview from their career. Could be bib or anything. Do you have anything in mind that you could hand over at some point?
I had so many options. I was like, I could do a bib, I could do a shirt, I could do I wasn't sure, so I was like, you know what, I might. Like I was debating on doing like 2 because I'm like I wasn't sure, so I was like I might do like 2. I know one of them I'm still searching for. It's like because I got 3 bibs from Paris.
Nice.
So I was like, you know what, I don't need 3. So I'm like I could definitely give one of those and a T-shirt that I got from my first World Championships actually.
Nice.
So.
Well, that will be fantastic.
Yeah.
Perfect. So we'll reconvene next time I'm in town. Thank you so much. That was great getting to know you. I'm convinced that we'll see you break records and get medals in the next few years. And I'm sure you're not going to quit or retire.
No, I might quit for 2 days, but then I'll be back.
That's good. And well, that's it. Not Paris. LA is the next big objective. So for 3.5 years from now. So
Yep.
counting down the days.
Counting
or
down the days, like 1,000 something.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Good 1,000 probably. Yeah.
Yeah, that's gonna be
Sweet.
a lot.
Any last word? Anything we can wish you? Any place we can kind of follow you and see you as you succeed?
You can follow me on Instagram and hopefully TikTok when I'm more active, guys.
Wonderful. We will. I'll have to install TikTok actually.
Oh my
to be
gosh,
able
yes,
to do
you
so.
should install TikTok.
No, because that's gonna be my kind of time wasted place.
I will
I'm afraid
say
of that. So.
I do waste 2 hours on TikTok,
Damn, no,
and that's
no.
just
Okay.
scrolling.
Okay, so I'm just gonna follow you on Instagram if you don't mind.
But
I
like,
cannot.
you learn a lot from TikTok. I find you learn a lot.
Yeah, but it's hard to approach a thing like that with like a learning. You can just fall into the traps that all that the designers had in mind when
That's
they built
true.
that stuff. So
Mm-hmm.
anyway, all right. Thank you so much, Bianca.
Oh,
Wish you the
thank
best,
you.
and I hope I'll see you around.
Of course.
Bye.